You know, when people think of Dominican Republic, you know the first thing they typically think about? They think about the all-inclusive resorts. They think about the palm trees, the beaches, you know, all the stuff that they see in these travel guides. And don't get me wrong, all that stuff is amazing and one of the reasons why I enjoy living here. Oh, and I forgot about the weather. The weather is sunshine year round. And again, like I say, all that is good, but that's not what really keeps me here. What keeps me here is the people, the culture, and the traditions that make everyday life here feels different. Some of these traditions confused me, and some of them made me uncomfortable because they were so different than what I was used to. But now some of these traditions have become a part of my everyday life. So today I want to talk about some of these Dominican traditions that I did not expect to love, and some that have changed me for the better. One thing you immediately notice when you move here is that people actually acknowledge each other. In the elevators, they say buenos dias. You walk into a business, you say buenas. You walk past your neighbor, you say saludos. Even when you're sitting at your table and a stranger walks by, they will say buen provecho. I know it sounds like such a small thing, but after a while you realize it changes the atmosphere. Back in the US, it wasn't unusual that you could walk past 10 or 20 people and nobody say a word to each other. But here, silence, it feels awkward. And that's something I wasn't used to. And now I catch myself doing it without even thinking, saying hola, saying buenas, saludos. And to be honest with you, I love it. Because for 2 seconds, two strangers recognize each other as human beings. And I know this is gonna sound simple to a lot of people, but this is something that we've lost in a lot of places, not just the United States. Another tradition that I like is that Sundays feel different here. If you've lived in Dominican Republic for a certain amount of time, then you realize it's something about Sundays. The pace changes, family gathers, people cook large meals, kids running around playing, music blasting, and nobody's in a hurry. And Sunday is not just another day off, it's family day. And that I really admire, because I remember growing up in the 80s, man, after church, Sunday was church day for us, but after church, the family got together. And that's something that I realized down inside that I miss. And listen, success doesn't mean much if you don't take it upon yourself to slow down and enjoy the people that you're working so hard for. And living here, I think Dominicans know that better than most. The next one is the colmado. And you guys know I made a whole video on the colmado because I think that's one of the most fascinating parts of Dominican culture. That's why I'm mentioning it again. Because a colmado is not somewhere that you just buy bread and milk. It's a neighborhood gathering place where people just sit outside for hours talking and drinking. And sometimes dancing. Some people playing dominoes, the music is playing. You have others that's debating politics. Some stop by to say hello. And most of the time, like I mentioned in my video, they're not even there to buy anything. Just imagine that your neighborhood convenience store becomes a community center. Because that's all a colmado is, a community center for the neighborhood. And another tradition I like about Dominican Republic, and I got a love-hate for it, but more so of a love for it, because it just depends on where I am, but it's music everywhere. Dominicans do not wait for a special occasion just to enjoy their lives. You'll hear merengue coming from one house, the other house you'll hear bachata, the floor above you or below you, you'll hear salsa. Somebody drives by and they're blasting their dembow, and you even have construction workers who are working while listening to music. Somebody's cleaning their house with music. In the barbershops, there's music. And the colmado, as I said, has music. Life here is like a soundtrack. And over time, guess what? You stop noticing it until you leave. I remember when I went back to Alabama, I noticed how quiet it was. No music playing. You couldn't even really hear cars going down the street. Everything just felt quiet. And it makes you realize you never really understood how music can influence your life. And during that time in Alabama, I never realized how much music can influence the mood of your everyday life. The next tradition that I love, which I don't play, I just like to watch, is that dominoes is a serious business here. If you've never watched Dominicans play dominoes, listen, you're missing a show. People slam the dominoes on the table like they making a point. You can hear people laughing, you hear the trash talking, and everybody that's watching it has an opinion. And it feels like it's a championship domino game or something. But when you look deep into it, it's not really about winning. It's about them spending time together. And in today's world, when everybody's just staring and glued to their phone, watching 4 people laugh around a dominoes table reminds you what real connection looks like. The next tradition is the hospitality. It feels genuine. And this still amazes me after 5 years, is how welcoming people can be here. You visit somebody's house, before you even sit down, they're asking you, do you want coffee? Are you hungry? Do you want some juice? And sometimes you be thinking, I literally just ate. But you know what? It doesn't matter. And I'm gonna tell you, if you decline food to a Dominican, that's offensive. I had to find that out the hard way, because they're gonna feed you anyway. It's just what they do. And offering food to you is not really about the food. What they're really saying is that you're welcome in this household. And that type of hospitality, trust me, it leaves a real big impression on you. And the next one is probably my favorite tradition, and that's living outside. Even though Dominicans may not even think that this is a tradition, it is to me. Dominicans spend a lot of time outside. They sit on their balconies, they pull up their plastic chairs and sit on their patios. And that's one tradition that I've inherited. I love sitting out on my balcony, man. I spend a lot of time on my balcony. In addition to that, you see kids outside, people walking to the colmado, you see friends stop each other in the streets. Life happens outside here in Dominican Republic. And that's one of the reasons communities feel stronger here, because people actually see each other. Living on the 8th floor, I love sitting on my balcony and watching the neighborhood. You see people living life, not rushing through it, they're living it. And here's another tradition that I really like as well. Dominicans respect their elders. That's something I know for a fact we have lost in the United States. You'll hear people say Don, you'll see people say Doña, and not because they have to, it's because they want to. Older family members are included, they're listened to, they're respected. In a world that sometimes seems obsessed with the youth, I think this type of tradition is worth preserving. I know I probably mentioned a lot of my favorite, but this is another favorite, and that's Dominicans celebrating life. One thing Dominicans don't need is a reason to celebrate. Birthdays, let's celebrate. Promotion at a job, let's celebrate. Family visiting, let's celebrate. Random Saturday, let's celebrate. There's always a reason to enjoy life here. At first I was like, man, these people celebrate every single thing. Not to mention they got so many Dominican holidays. And now after living here, I'm thinking, maybe that's just exactly the point. Life goes by fast. Why wait for the perfect moments? Celebrate the ordinary days. Another tradition is sharing of the food. Food has always been my favorite way of experiencing any culture. The first thing I want to do is I want to try that culture's food. And one thing that I love here is that when somebody cooks, they're immediately telling everybody about it. Come eat, take this home. Hey, try this, provolone. There's this sort of generosity that is attached to food. It's not just about eating, it's about the relationship. And that's one thing I hope that never changes about this culture. So when I first moved to Dominican Republic, I thought I was changing my address. But now that I look back, it has slowly changed my mindset. You realize that your life doesn't necessarily always have to be rushed. Saying hello matters. Spending time with family doesn't necessarily have to be scheduled 6 months in advance. And that community doesn't happen online. It happens when people actually spend time together. And that's why I think when people move here, they end up staying. Because it's not about the weather, it's not the lower cost of living, it's that feeling that you get when you live here. That feeling that life is supposed to be shared. And that's probably the Dominican tradition that I've come to love the most. And it's not one specific tradition, but it's the overall culture of putting people before anything else. So if you're a Dominican, this is what I would love to know. What Dominican tradition that you think people from other countries would appreciate the most? Let me know in the comment section. And if you visited here or lived here, what's one Dominican tradition that surprised you the most? I enjoy reading those experiences. So guys, if you're interested in moving to Dominican Republic and you want to know what your budget is going to look like, I created what I call the DR cost of living calculator. Just enter your numbers and it'll spit out a budget that you'll be looking at monthly if you decide to move here to Dominican Republic. Also, if you're interested in investing in real estate, I have a link in the video description below that says I want to invest in real estate. Click that link, head over to our website, check out some of the available properties. And if you're interested in one of those properties, complete the form and we'll be in contact. So until then, guys, always keep your goals at the forefront of your mind. Always live in the present, because that's the only way you're gonna live your best life. And I'm out. Peace.